Go.
We are the Hebrew Israelites. We come in week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of this sinful kingdom, aka America, which is Babylon the Great, Sodom and Egypt. First off, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And a sincere salutation to the Akia pushing this word and truth and its sincerity on the highways and byways. You know? This is Psalms chapter 15, starting at verse 1. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? Verse 2. He that walketh uprightly and worketh in righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart.
And that's what the children of Israel were created to do, man. They were created to walk uprightly, man. But according to prophecy, 2/3 of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are not coming back to their heritage are going to be cast off and be put to death as a heathen, man. Because they walk not uprightly, man. The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Hebrew Israelites according to the scriptures, man. And it's their responsibility to walk uprightly because they made a deal with YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, the one you ignorantly call God, in the name of the one you ignorantly call Jesus, man.
This is verse 3. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor. Verse 4. In whose eyes a vile person is contempt, contemned, but he honoreth them that fear the Lord. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not.
And that's 2/3 of our people, man. They're swerving to their own hurt, man. Everything they out here doing is to their own destruction, man. Following the ways of Esau, the so-called white man, and all these other nations is destroying our people, man. That's why people don't have a continuing city. And that's according to the curses, man. You know, the predicament Yasharahla is in right now is really on their own behalf, man, by their own transgression, man. The Lord set up over us the basis of men, which are the so-called white man today, which is Esau in the scriptures, man. Yeah, Khan, he's really red, man. But that whole white and black, that's a concept of men. Because in the ancient world, you were judged based on your lineage, your tribe, not according to your color, man. And all of these people have been dumbed down with the gross darkness to believe that color dictates a nationality, man. Your color does not dictate a nationality, man.
It's Isaiah chapter 30, verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, will say to the seer, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Get ye out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise the word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant.
Yeah, because our people trust in oppression, man. For you to go out here and protest against a nation that put you in slavery, that's trusting in oppression, man. For you to ask the nations that destroyed you for help, that's trusting in oppression. And that's why people continue to be destroyed today, man. That's why they lost, man. It said in Matthew 15:24, Yahawashi said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, man. Because our people are lost, man. And every time they cleave unto the heathens, it's always to their own destruction, man. It's the reason all these other nations come here and get way above the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Because there's an unspoken, it's a spiritual thing, but it's an unspoken oppression by all nations against the nation of Israel, right? We're the proverb and byword of all nations, man.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
So there's no wisdom in 2/3 of our people, man. Because if there was wisdom in them, they'd be upset right now. You have all these other nations and all these other philosophies telling you to forget about what happened to you, but they don't tell them the Amalekites, the so-called Jew, to forget about the Holocaust, man. They don't forget about 9/11, but they'll tell you to forget about slavery, man. And our people go along with it. A wise man is angry at oppression, man. We actually value our nation, man, which is why we're out here looking like fools to fools, man. Because we actually value our nation, and the Lord commanded us to do this, and this is the only way our nation can be rebuilt, man. Is by coming out here and prophesying and fishing for the elect. We're not looking for the whole nation of Yasharahla. We're looking for the elect. And then after the elect are sealed, all the heathens are going into slavery, man. For the slavery that they gave out. That's why it says in Lamentations to enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself, so-called white man, and all you other nations. Because slavery is your end. The Lord said in Numbers 24 that Amalek was first of the nations, but his latter end is that he perished forever, man.
This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 5. These 12 Yahawashi sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Because the Lord always talked about the lost sheep of the house of Israel, man. Because they are destroyed here, man. That's why in Luke it says that he raised up a horn of salvation, that we shall be saved from our enemies, man. You know? Because we're responsible for performing the mercy that the YAHAWASHI gave our fathers, man. The Lord is going to make good on his promise, and he's going to do that through the descendants of the patriarchs, man. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You can't decide that you want to be an Israelite, man. You can't wake up and just be converted. You have to be of the seed of the nation of Yasharahla. Because those curses are following those that nation wherever they go.
Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5. Whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty, and they hold themselves not guilty, and they that seldom say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Zechariah 11, starting at verse 4. Thus said the Lord my power, feed the flock of the slaughter. Verse 5. Whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty, and they that seldom say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Yeah, because the nation of Israel is the sheep led to the slaughter, man. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they don't know who they are. They're in their enemy's land, and they're asking their enemy for help. That's an oppressed, dumbed down people, man. And save the elect, we be destroyed here, man. Because it says that the possessors slay them and hold them themselves not guilty, and the Lord lets that manifest everywhere in this country, man. Where you have Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans being shot down, and nothing happens to them. Because Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, your life isn't valued here, man. The life of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans aren't valued in this place, man. And they do everything they can to avoid that reality that you're not equal to these people, man. They don't look at you as an equal. That's a figment of your imagination, not theirs. They know you're not equal. But that our people are so caught up in all of these distractions that they refuse to face the reality of the situation that they're in, man.
Just show it.
It's Isaiah chapter 1, verse 2. It says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahawah have spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. Israel doeth not know, my people doeth not consider. Our sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, and seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. they are going away backward. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. From the sole of the foot, even unto the head, there is no soundness in it.
Yeah, our nation is completely destroyed, man. And in Zechariah 11, it talked about how the shepherds pity their people not, man. Because now you got our nation profiting off our own downfall, man. Whether it be in church, whether it be in a music game, our people continue the state of white supremacy, man. By dumbing down our people, man. By not telling them what's really going on. That's why the Lord has severed a portion of the nation of Yasharahla, that they may do righteousness, man. That they may be justified by his name, man. And those elect are going to bring forth the nation of Yasharahla in righteousness, man. Because our people are laden with iniquity now. They glory in iniquity. They glory in something that is destruction, man. Which is why our people are going to be, 2/3 of our nation are going to be destroyed for that, man. Because they joined themselves unto these heathens, man.
Verse 6, it says, from the sole of the foot, even unto the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
Yeah, because our people are destroyed, and they don't even consider the condition they in. And then you have the other nations that don't even. The Lord said in Jeremiah, he said, what nation is going to come by and ask Israel how thou doest, man? Our people are destroyed, and no other nation pities you, man. When Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans get shot down or something egregious happens to them, none of these other nations care about it. They make excuses for why it was justified, man.
Can I say something? Go ahead. Can you read that one more time?
Isaiah 1 and 6. It says, from the sole of the foot,
right?
From the sole of the foot, even unto the head, there is no soundness in it.
Right, and when you go into that word sound in the Hebrew, it's H4973, and that word is methom. Right? And when you look at the definition, soundness, entirety, or entire. Now, when you look at what Paul said about the body of YAHAWASHI, how you have the foot, you have the head, you know, being in this truth, we got to be sound. Right here, it's talking about the body of the nation of Israel in total is in complete disarray, man. You know what I'm saying?
From the leaders, right? Down to the footmen.
Down to the con. It's the spirit.
Yeah.
This is John chapter, this is Jeremiah chapter 4 and verse 22. For my people is foolish, they have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge.
And that's Jake, man. When you watch documentaries like Dope, they go into how Jake is good at doing anything that's criminal or illegal. Jake is good at doing anything that's destructive to his own nation, man. But to do anything that'll actually empower his nation, he has no understanding on, man. A spiritual people contaminated by wickedness, man. That's why the Lord is going to have to just get rid of 2/3 of our nation, man. There's going to have to be a slaughter, a purge in the nation of Yasharahla, man, along with the rest of the world, man. The majority of you people were made in vanity, man. You were made to be destroyed. You were made to live your life in Babylon in this time and to be destroyed. That was your whole, that's the only reason you're on the planet, is to receive your judgment, man.
Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 13. For my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of the living waters, and hewed them out broken cisterns that can hold no water. Verse 14. Is Yasharahla a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?
Yeah, and Jake is a homeborn slave at this point now. Jake is a full-on homeborn slave. We're actually out here bringing out documentation in the scriptures, most importantly, the word of YAHAWASHI telling Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that they're the greatest people on the planet Earth. That they were created to be kings and priests. That they were created to manage the earth in righteousness, man.
I ain't trying to. You know how you know Jake is a slave, man? It's because, let's take Ephraim for example. They're so proud of being Spanish people. But did you know that the conquistadors conquered the Philippines too? When I was in school, half my Philippine teachers had Spanish last names, such as De La Cruz and all these things. But the moment the Philippines were able to get rid of that shit, they got rid of it. But here it is, Jake held on to that shit. They speak Spanish to this day, and they're proud of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you, any other of these nations that suffered at the hands of Esau, the moment they got a chance to get that shit out of their system, they got that shit out of their system. But we hold on to that shit dearly and we love it, man.
That's how you know that the nation of Israel is destroyed, man. They don't value themselves, man. If any other nation was in a position that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are in, they destroy this place, man. They destroy this place before they allow themselves to continue in this position, man. That's why Esau plants and gives gifts to all the other nations, man, to pacify them, man. Because if they were in the same position Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans were in, they wouldn't take the shit, man. But you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans will take a pair of shoes, an apartment, a job, and just be satisfied, man. You satisfied with being a slave in a nation in a nation that oppressed you, man.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Most High, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk and go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
Yeah, and that's twofold, man. Because Egypt being America, our people trust in this place, man. The reason you know that Negroes trust in America is because they protest, man. They protest when something happens to them, man.
What y'all got going on?
And on the second fold, you got a question?
No, I'm listening now.
And on the second fold, our people trust in Egypt because we were actually slaves in the nation of Egypt when they were in their prominence. And a lot of the spiritual philosophies in this world go back to Egypt, man. And our people trust in it. And what happens? They add sin unto sin. Sin being the transgression of the laws, statutes, and commandments, man. The Lord gave Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans a culture. When they got taken down, they lost their culture. And now you see a cultureless people who have been given a culture by their oppressors, man.
And they run with it.
And they run with it, and now they're destroyed. And they're content in their destroyed state, man. Like we said before, if any other nation was put in a position that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans were put in right now, America wouldn't be here. It'd be burnt to the ground, man.
Hey, bro,
but because Negro...
I was thinking today, not today, like a couple days ago. So Black Panther really brought it out of us, but like when we celebrate our culture, we still take it back to African. So what's African, not African American, but like what's our culture here? Do we have one yet?
We don't have a culture here.
I'm black, I'm not African though, so I'm not gonna act African, you know what I mean?
Well, we were in Africa, right, but we're not from Africa. Right. We're from the nation of Israel. So we're from the land.
What can our culture be here?
Our culture is here. It's right here. It's right here. It's wherever you congregate and speak on these scriptures and live them and apply them to your life. When you do that, you'll help build your nation back up through the Spirit of the Lord. Because the Lord chose this nation of people, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to be kings and priests. Our purpose on this earth is to govern this earth in righteousness. We're supposed to be the example of how you conduct yourself on the planet Earth. Right. Because we're not in that position, the earth is destroyed. The so-called white man whose biblical nationality is Esau, he has been put over us as a punishment for our transgressions. Because we left the law, statutes, and commandments, we got taken down. That was according to prophecy. It said that
Job. Okay.
Yeah. If I can ask
Go ahead.
if I can ask you one thing, do you know what culture? Do you know what that comes from? Do you know what the root word of culture is?
No.
Or where it comes from?
I mean,
Culture, you get
cult.
cult. You know what cult means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I mean, to me, a cult is it's a sacred religious group or whatever. I mean, I don't know the exact definition.
Culture, cultivate. It's all a cult. Cult means to like when you cultivate something or you grow something. It means to grow something. So your culture is something that you grow. It's something that's living. So when you ask him what would be your culture, and he's telling you the scriptures. Now within the scriptures, it's contained a culture of the Israelites. So he's telling you that you're an Israelite, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go back to that culture, which is the law of Moses, the history contained in the scripture, which is like the kings and different cultures and stuff like that that they had in there.
Yeah.
Things that they did and they didn't do, such as the dietary laws, what you can and can't eat. Now, I'm gonna read this for you. This is let me check. This is the book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 10, and it goes into how we were kicked out of our land and brought to a place called Babylon, which Babylon will be America, but he can break it down for you. This is Micah chapter 4, verse 10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies.
Now the word Babel means confusion, Babal. So when you have Babylon, it's a city of confusion. This place is a place of confusion.
For sure.
All of these philosophies are not according to conducive to how man should conduct himself on the planet. And because of that, people have the liberty to destroy themselves. Our punishment was coming into this place and being on the bottom in this place. It said that you shall leave the city and go into the field. The other nations are known as heathens, which means country dweller. The city, Yasharahla, is the city. In the Lord's eyes, that's the city. So when he said you're leaving your city, he's going to take you out of your homeland. That's a part of our curses in Deuteronomy. So the reason the Latino population is even open here is because after the Assyrian captivity, they went to a place where never man dwelt to try to keep the laws. And even here, they didn't keep the laws perfectly. So eventually, some parts of the community broke off into other things, which is why you have the Incas and the Aztecs doing all kind of human sacrifice and certain things. But you had certain populations and tribes that still kept the culture. When Columbus came over here, he came over here with Hebrew interpreters. Did you know that? Yeah. So there's documentation. The oldest form of Hebrew was found in the United States.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. A guy named Glenn Beck brought it out on Fox News and they fired his ass.
Yeah, I know Glenn Beck is down.
Yeah, they found a what was it called?
The Back Creek Stone.
Back Creek Stone. It was found in here before Columbus and them got here, and it was Paleo Hebrew, the oldest form of Hebrew.
They wasn't all Native Americans like they said.
Yeah, they have this philosophy out here that Hispanics and Latinos were and Native Americans were savages, that they didn't have a culture. Well, we had a culture. What they did was once they oppressed the people here and conquered them, they had to rewrite the story to justify what they did. So we had
Hosea 10 and 12, right?
Yeah.
It's Hosea chapter 10 and verse 12.
Hold on. This is the etymology. Etymology means the study of a word when it came into existence. So culture is from the mid-15th century. Tilling of land. So what you call culture goes hand in hand with land. Right. It says culture, and directly from Latin, cultura, a cultivating of agriculture. Care, culture, and honoring. So when you say what is our culture, it goes hand in hand with agriculture, meaning growing, you're growing something. Right? So this is what we're growing. We're growing this thing what we call the truth of the scriptures. We're also growing our ancient culture that we lost when we came into slavery. You're right by saying that we're not Africans. We dwelled in Africa.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like
Now I get what you're
like
saying.
African Americans, we don't have a culture unless it's the culture it's the Migos culture, which we don't want to attach. I don't want to attach myself to that. I feel like we don't have a culture here yet that we can be proud of, besides the African heritage.
Right.
How could you attach yourself to an African American heritage? That's why you're always gonna feel that disconnect, because African American is a made-up term, which goes back to the names of two white people. Africa, Leo Scipio Africanus. He defeated Hannibal in the 2 Punic Wars, and he actually only Northern Africa was called Africa. You get what I'm saying? And
say that again. I'm sorry. This goes right into my point. Say that again about the Punic Wars.
The Punic Wars. Leo Scipio Africanus defeated a man named Hannibal Barca in 2 Punic Wars.
78.
He conquered Northern Africa and surnamed it Africa. That's where that came from. Then you had Amerigo Vespucci.
Hold on, because I want to piggyback off that. Now, remember I said we're not African. We dwelled in Africa for a time, right? Now he said that a man during the Punic Wars, which is a very important time, during the Punic Wars, a man named Leo Scipio Africanus conquered North Africa, and they named the continent after him.
Was he African?
No, he was Greek. I'm sorry, Roman. Scipio, Roman, because I was a Roman. Now, let's back up in history a little bit. If the brother can find it. You got it? 70 AD.
Yeah.
I wish we had our sign, but go ahead.
So this is from Babylon and Timbuktu, and it says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
So in 70 AD, there were people in Israel that were black, which we say that we come from. We say all so-called Negroes in America come from people that were in Israel. 70 AD, Israel was being besieged by General Titus. All of them so-called Jews, what we call ourselves Jews, fled into Africa, North Africa, which would be Egypt, mainly Alexandria, Carthage, and those surrounding areas. Now, the point that he brought up, a man named Leo Scipio Africanus, during the Punic Wars, where they were fighting, the Romans were fighting the Carthage. They was fighting the Carthaginians, right? Which is North Africa. What we just told you the Jews fled to, right? So during that time, during that war, a lot of the Jews fled from North Africa clear across to West Africa, where they made communities such as the Igbo. You ever heard of the Igbo? Igbo.
Ashanti,
the Igbo.
Only because it's a joke. I don't know the real one.
Right.
Well, you got the Igbo, you got the Yoruba, you got the Ashanti. These are all tribes in West Africa that were taken to America on slave ships. They all go back to these people that we're telling you about.
Right.
So when I tell you, when you say culture, and I tell you culture means to cultivate, going back to the land, but it also means to honor something that you're cultivating, something that you're growing, which is what we recognize as a culture, right? Yeah. So now we're cultivating something, which is the truth, and our heritage, what we got to go back to. So go ahead.
Kind of like Kendrick said.
Yeah, so go back. The funny thing is, you listen to Kendrick Lamar, right?
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar is the Israelite.
Yeah, because he was talking about Deuteronomy a lot.
Deuteronomy 28.
Yeah. He had a lyric, he said, cocaine white, besides cocaine white, but it looked like Gentiles.
Like Gentiles, emotional. Bitch, you're emotional. Talking about how the heat is mad because we waking up. But give me that what I told you to give to him. Yeah, give me that real quick.
Oh, can I just bring out one thing though?
Wait, hold up, real quick, because it's going into
this is Hosea 10:12, right?
Yeah.
They told you the verse about Gentile, that's on there.
Yeah.
He got that on his new album too.
While he getting that, this is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4.
10 and 12.
And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
So you saying that this culture that we got now, we're not proud of it.
That's only my personal opinion.
Sure, my opinion as well. We're not proud of it because it's not our culture. It was given to us by somebody else. Even today, the musicians, they're governed by somebody else. You know the music industry. Right. Go ahead.
Hosea chapter 10 and verse 12. Sow yourselves into righteousness, reap in mercy.
Start again.
Hosea chapter 10 and verse 12. Sow yourselves in righteousness.
Right, going back to that word cultivate to grow. So it's saying sow to yourselves righteousness. What's righteousness? The things contained in the law. Those are the righteous things. Go ahead.
Reap in mercy.
Right?
Break up your fallow ground.
This is all, see, this is all agricultural terms, just like that word culture. So what does it say? Break up the fallow ground, right? That's what you would do when you're about, okay, I got
When you get ready to plant,
you would break up the ground. So this is what the Most High is telling us to do. Break up our fallow ground, meaning your mind. So you can implant the knowledge in that and go back to your culture and cultivate to make that culture again. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right, and when the ground is fallow, right, it's hard. That's why you break it up to soften it up. So going back to your mind to get that hard head, that stubbornness, right? For it is time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you.
Right, it's time to seek the Most High. Now,
I think that's kind of, we're doing like the culture we're talking about. I feel like we're doing like the opposite in that culture, which is why I don't attach myself to it.
oh yeah, but that's what they want us to do, because the minute that the children of Israel wake up to who they are, and they call it, if you read in 1 Kings chapter 8, when Solomon was praying to the Most High, he prayed that if we all woke up, faced east and prayed to the Most High now, the Most High will come deliver us out of this kingdom right now, no questions. So their job is to alter that, to make us not wake up, to keep us listening to this stuff and seeking after their money and their vain things, so that we never get back to trying to figure out who we are. We're always distracted. So of course, it's made like that. But it's up to us as individuals to wake up, break up the fallow ground, sow that seed in there, which is the truth, and get back to our heritage, our who we are, being Israelites, and back to our God, which is Yahawah, and YAHAWASHI.
Alright, this is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? If he was talking about how the Lord created culture, which is cultivate, which goes back to agriculture. Now in the scriptures, you're going to find out that the Lord likens us to a seed. Like he's planted man in the earth. This is a little deep, but the trees in the beginning, in Adam, he hid himself amongst the trees. Those were other nations of people. Because each nation has a seed, and man carries the seed. That seed has a particular diverse weight. The Lord made each culture different from each other. He separated the sons of Adam. This seed right here was meant to be the righteous seed. This seed was meant to conduct the earth and manage it in righteousness. Everybody follows Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, whether it's a trend, whether it's us being successful in boxing.
Oh yeah, bro. Black culture is always going to be popular culture.
It's the most influential, we're the most influential nation on the planet Earth. But that's because we're of the seed, we're the princes of the Lord. So he's put a special spirit in our nation.
And we're poverty stricken. That's the funny part. I know, as a nation.
And what we're supposed to do is take that influentialness and use it for righteousness' sake. What you see now is it's a good thing that you said that is you separate yourself from that, because spiritually that's what you're supposed to do. That's what we're up here telling our people to do. Separate yourself from the culture that was given to destroy each other. If this culture right here, praising having sex with another man's woman, that's good. That's destroying your nation.
All they talk about, I get tired of motherfuckers saying they fuck my bitch.
That's destroying your nation. We have laws in here that says you're not supposed to do that. That's punishable by death, you know? And it's not a wedding, so to speak, as the white man has given you, where you have a ceremony and you go down to his government and get paperwork from him. When you have sex with a woman, y'all are married. That's why it says two become one. So we have laws that if we kept them, our nation would be fixed and healed. But 2/3 of our people, according to prophecy, are not going to get right. They're not going to turn back. And only a remnant of our people are going to make it on this side.
Alright, so real quick, I'm gonna go soon.
Okay.
According to prophecy, where we at?
Let me read this first. And then let me read this because they're talking about the seed. And you said all of us are seeds, basically out here. And he's planting the seeds again, not which is the truth. This is Ecclesiasticus Sirach, chapter 10, verse 17. He took some of them away and destroyed them, and have made their memorial to cease from the earth. Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of women. They that fear the Lord are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed. So basically, coming back to the Most High, and the way you love the Most High is to follow his commandments. And that's how you show that you love him. Like if you have kids, your kids listen to you and follow your rules and be obedient to you, you know that they love you. You know what I'm saying? If you have a kid that's disrespectful and dishonorable to you and make your name, make you look like a bad parent, you're going to feel like that kid really don't love you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Or you punish you. So, and that's what happened to us. But the point is to be an honorable seed, and how you become an honorable seed is basically following the laws, statutes, and commandments that you try to the best of your ability.
Because you said you separate yourself, right?
Yeah, I do my best. I mean, it's hard these days. I have to consciously do it, but yeah.
It's a good start though. This 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive it. You starting the right way. That's how you start. You separate yourself from all of this stuff and you start searching. So yeah, that's all I got though.
And you had one question about
the last question. Where y'all think we?
I got you right now.
2018.
This Revelation chapter 13, starting at verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Break down? Yeah. The scriptures talk about the image of the beast. The image of the beast is its society. You know what I'm saying? It's philosophies. But the beast is referring to NATO and the EU.
So you know, NATO is
right.
Countries?
Right. Because right.
North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Right. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and born, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now it says,
yeah, what do you think the mark of the beast is?
I'm about to break it down for you, right? It says he causes all, both small and great. So right now, this devil, so-called white man, right? He's getting ready to implement the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. That word mark in the Greek is charakma, which means an incision, right? So it says, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and born. So it doesn't matter your status in this society. You can be rich, poor, bond or free. Even people that are locked down in the penitentiaries and jails and the prisons, or the everyday Joe Schmo walking around right here. They're all going to be required to take this chip. Why? It's going to tell you right now. It says in their right hand or in their foreheads that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Now right now you see that on a small level because they have the chip inside your debit card. If you don't insert that chip, you can't buy or sell at a 7-Eleven or anywhere. You can't even swipe no more, right? And how they're selling it to you, they're making it seem like it's gonna It protects your funds. It's convenient. You know, it protects you from identity. Right? They're selling it to the public, so they willingly accept it. Right? It says back in verse 17 that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And so that's the time when really comes. That question you just asked is like a question that is going to take time for us if you really sit here and break bread. But I brought that out because that's one of the main things that we're getting ready to come into, and we here telling you not to take that chip. Because you take that chip, the Most High, his name is Yahawah, his son's name is YAHAWASHI, definitely going to destroy you for taking that chip.
You don't think it's a metaphor at all? You think that
no, that's a physical chip. You already see the chip. There's people out in Switzerland in the Baja Club taking it, putting it in their hand, and even getting into a club on it. What's that? You said in Wisconsin?
One more thing too, man.
Right.
Just one more thing. Get on Joel chapter.
I got it.
For Joel chapter 3?
3?
Another part right here.
Chapter 2.
2 and 20?
Yeah.
I got you.
You're also coming into what we call World War III. I don't know if it's going to be with Trump or who it's going to be with, but that's the next thing we wait. It could be. Hopefully it is, because we're ready to get out of here to be saved, but it could be. But that's the next thing that's going to happen. You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Joel chapter 2, starting at 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army.
To Saudi, the northern army, which would be America, North America. Go ahead.
And will drive him into a land barren and desolate.
Which would be the desert out there. Barren and desolate being Saudi Arabia. Now they losing their ties with Saudi Arabia. They were allies with them during George Bush's era. Go ahead.
With his face toward the east sea,
right,
and his hinder part toward the utmost sea,
right,
and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things.
The east sea will be the Euphrates. Now it says his stink shall come up because he had done great things. What are those great things, and who is the he? The he pertaining to America mainly, and the great things is the proudness that they speak against the Most High. Where they taking everything out of the schools now. They telling you it's no God, came from monkeys, this, that, and the other. Not only that, but they put his chosen people in bondage and slavery. Being the so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Hispanics. Got them in slavery and still killing them to this day. Those are proud things that they've spoken. Not only that, the most proud thing of all is that they said that they were the Jews, the people over Israel now. So what you're gonna have, we're not gonna go all into it because I know you said you gotta go. What you're gonna have is you're gonna have the people over in Israel gonna cause this big ass war, World War III. So start with the people in Israel, they're gonna draw America out. America's gonna go to war with Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. So I keep having the incidents with Iran. That's what we're waiting on. It's a lot of scripture to go into, but I know you said you gotta go.
Nah, I appreciate thermonuclear destruction. That's how America.
Oh yeah.
America's gonna get destroyed by thermonuclear destruction, and it sounds scary, right?
I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not an anarchist, but like you said it, like I'm fed up too.
Isaiah 33:6.
It's whatever.
Before you go, just one last scripture. Isaiah 33:6.
But the thing about it too is that the people. It says in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 that those that we should stand up in great boldness against them. Get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 with me, I'm sorry. It says that our salvation is going to be strange, right? Like nothing else that happened before. So he's telling you it's going to be destroyed by thermonuclear war, and they're going to rain down nuclear missiles over the world. But the believers of the word and those that come back to their heritage are going to be saved in that day.
How though?
Huh?
Chariots.
By chariots, yeah.
UFOs.
Right. Yep.
Exactly. And that's why they put it in you. They put it to you in these movies to make it not only. It's what they're doing is they're programming the people to want to go to war against them.
Bro, every movie's apocalyptic now. It's retarded.
Because they know we're getting into that time, but. I mean, to a lot of people, it sounds scary, but when you have faith in YAHAWASHI and you take heed to his words like the brother was just explaining to you, Read the scripture right here. That's it.
This is Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
Now, what is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding talking about? Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in this book. How you gonna get that wisdom and knowledge and understanding is to fear the Lord. That's why I said the fear of the Lord is his treasure. When you fear the Lord, what are you gonna do? Like you said, you're gonna respect him because that's your father. And you're gonna follow his exactly. And when he sees that, what is he gonna do? He's gonna hopefully if you're part of the elect,
Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers.
Yeah, beamed up on his jail. Because another part of it being strange is that you gotta understand that these people, not only are they on the bottom, but we're a proverb and a byword to these people. So we're just the niggas, the spicks, the thugs, the drug dealers. These are the people that they're gonna see going up in chariots simultaneously while nuclear missiles are falling down. You know, if you can comprehend that. You know, imagine I'm Whitey, I just came out of Catholic church, I just gave my tithe, you know, I just gave my offering for, you know, I put up my canned food for the homeless, but it's like now the so-called rapture is taking place. The niggas in the projects and the Mexicans that I told to go back to Mexico are the ones going up. You get what I'm saying? If you can comprehend that.
Yeah. When you read that again, one time.
Isaiah 33 and 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
Wait, it says stability. So the thing, like during these times, this is a lot. It's gonna happen. Bodies gonna be stacked up on the street from plagues and famine. The thing that's gonna keep you stable in those times and not go crazy is knowledge and stability. Wisdom and knowledge. Now you gotta ask yourself why. Because when you go into the scriptures, it ain't even just that. When you go into the scriptures, you're going to understand what's going to happen in advance. So because we read these scriptures all the time and we have faith in the Most High, we understand what's going to happen in the future. So when it starts happening, we know how it's going to play out. So that's why it's going to be our stability. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to go into the scriptures and try to understand it, to know what the prophecies are going to be. So that when they start happening, you know. So you already know, okay, people dying, okay, this is the plague. All right, they going to war in the Middle East, okay, this is World War III, okay. Let me not get bugged out and get scared, because the Most High is going to save me, but most likely, because I've been trying to do right. You get what I'm saying?
And I feel like we'll be all right, because like, we're used to the jungle, so when it becomes a jungle, like, it's not too far.
It's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like Great Depression.
That's a spirit. Yeah. And we always in a recession in the
All right, y'all, I'm about to bounce.
I appreciate y'all. Keep spreading the word, for real.
We out here.
I got the card, yeah.
We out here.
I'm only here for a day. Oh, I'll follow you.
All right.
Easy, man.
This is Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and wicked, between him that serveth the Most High and him that serveth him not. And we're in the time of those that fear the Lord speaking one to another. And that brother, even though he's not all the way in, you can tell from his countenance that he has some sort of fear of YAHAWASHI, man. And that's why the Lord wanted brothers to come out here on the highways and hedges, man, to fish for the elect. You know, our responsibility right now for our nation's sake is to fish for the elect, to bring the truth out, and to be a prophet to the Gentiles by telling them to come in destruction. And in that day, the Lord is going to spare the ones who fear him and serve him, that they endure to the end, like he spared, like a man spared his own son, man. You know, that was a beautiful discourse with that brother, man.
This is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishes, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of every holes of the rocks.
And that's why in the day of our power, our people are going to be willing. Because Jake is fully carnal right now. He don't want to fish. Jake want to jump straight to hunting. Fishing right now is to preach this word and find the elect and Negroes that tells the Native Americans. These other nations are nothing. Thus saith YAHAWASHI, man. The abundance of them is as a drop that falleth from a vessel, man.
It's always a new one.
Because in that day, our people gonna be willing when they see the power, man. Right now, our people see us based on here on the highways and hedges while they cleave unto these heathens and they laugh to scorn. But there's gonna come a day where all of that's gonna be brought to naught, and the ones that you doubted are gonna be the ones that the Lord endowed with power, man.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and starting at verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Verse 4. For our weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahawah to the pulling down of strongholds.
Yeah, our weapons aren't physical, man. Our weapons are spiritual, breaking down strongholds. Because for you to establish a kingdom that lasts forever, you have to establish wisdom, man. And it starts with the wisdom, man. Brothers say this all the time. If the Lord gave us a kingdom now in this condition, we'd be back in slavery in another 30, 40 years. Maybe less. Because the vessels that we reside in are not right, man. It said the whole head is sick, man.
If I could say something too with that, that's a good point. Because they say too, like with the reparations that we're supposed to give, if we were to get those reparations and get all the money of this and that, it'll go back to the white man like in a week.
Exactly.
Because we're mentally finished.
Right, yeah.
We don't have any type of spiritual balance. And then the same thing would just happen. They said also that you can give everybody the same amount of money. The white man is still gonna end up with all the money at the end of the day again. Because mentally, you guys understand y'all?
Go ahead, I'll finish out.
Let's see, but mentally, we've been demolished, man. Like it says in Daniel. No other nation that has been through what we've been through. So it's basically just gonna go back to the same thing. That's why we need a savior to get out of condition. It ain't nothing that we can get all this money and we can come together and think about this and this and that. We can have a little something like that, but it ain't nothing to where like how the kingdom is gonna be, man.
That's why
in our rightful place.
That's why the
What you say, What do you say?
Listen, that's why the new covenant is so beautiful.
Exactly.
That YAHAWASHI, Isaiah 45 and 17, that's important. It says that he came to give us an everlasting salvation, right? All our other salvations were temporary salvations.
Right.
We had Ehud, we had Samson, we even had Deborah for a little bit. But YAHAWASHI is ushering in an everlasting salvation, that new covenant, which is gonna, you know?
Right.
And like he was saying, if we did get the reparations, which they said was 40 acres in the view, right?
Right.
And Esau goes to majority of our people and say, man, I'll give you $200,000 for the 40 acres. Guess what? Esau get all this land right back, man. At least most of it.
Yep.
It already happened, man. They'll get most of it back, okay? Niggas be going out buying Jaguars and shit and all kind of stuff before they even do anything and take care of their family or cultivate the land that they're given.
Right.
They'll be going out buying, not even assets, they'll be going out buying shit that makes them spend money.
Right.
That's very because you see the same thing with these athletes, man. Most of them, majority of them go broke.
That's a good point.
And the crazy part about it is, even let's take it back in time, when they abolished slavery, when they abolished slavery, and the slave masters told the slaves to go ahead, they didn't know what to do. They just came right back to the plantations because that's all they knew. They were mentally broken, finished.
Right.
So,
Real quick, that's how
they went right back.
Say this real quick. There was a time, like what you talking about? It's a time called the antebellum period. You can look it up. It's a time where the North punished the aristocrats of the South by taking their plantations and their land, and they gave it to some of the slaves. And then they had like the Congress and shit like that. A lot of the slaves down here were taking up government offices. And if you look at, when you look at the history, what started to happen is the slaves didn't want to get the mayor and the big positions like that. They wanted to leave it for the white man. And eventually the so-called white man got all their land back. And we still, now you see where we at today. Right. But what they're talking about, you can look it up, it already actually happened. It's called the antebellum period. Right. It's called the antebellum period.
And some, not a lot of them did get land, but some of them kept their land, man. Because I know you have some black people that still own land, man. Right. Like a lot of land, you know what I'm saying? For example, but this generation screwed up. For example, she wasn't my grandmother, she was my mother's stepmother, but she basically raised me. And her father had land in Stark, Florida, okay? But when my grandmother died, her sister, that's what she was looking for, the death certificate, so she could sell the land just like that. Just sell it. She didn't want to do nothing else with the land, she just wanted to sell it off. And that shit had been in their family for years, generations and generations. And that's a mental thing. That's a mental thing. They don't know what to do with that land. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have the scripture.
That's the spirit. You know now let's say Esau gave Jake land right now. Do we have the understanding of how to cultivate it? What tools we need to use? When to plant? I mean, when to when to reap and then when to sow and things like that. Like if Esau said here to this generation, my generation said here goes the land, we wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. None of us got skills. Our women don't know how to sew, cook, clean like back in the days when they used to.
Now I would say this: some people wouldn't know how to do it, man, because there's a lot of things. Not all of them, but it's a lot of things that they call it cultural practices. Basically, that shit's knowing how to plant and do all that shit, and when to plant this and when to reap this. That comes from a culture, man. Okay, that's passed down from generation to generation to generation, man. Okay, so some people do know how to do it. You still have black farmers and you still have black people with pastures, with cows and stuff in it. But the majority of us are lost in the sauce of being basically an American, man. Okay, not living in this country.
Yeah, and that's why we destroy it. Because the Lord needs it's all or nothing, man.
Yeah. And then you got laws in the scriptures that tell you to let the land rest. Okay. And let you know when, like, you know, when the Passover was happening, when the corn is turning green, okay, or the ears of the corn are turning green. So a certain, you can read the scriptures and learn how to basically grow stuff and from the scriptures and just from cultural practices, just doing it and maybe messing up, you know what I'm saying, and then doing it over and then finding out, man. That's how basically a lot of people learn how to do things, man, just from culture.
Well, we had that in our culture, man.
Exactly.
Because our ancestors our forefathers were the slaves, man. So all of this shit that you see Esau doing, we were doing that in slavery. Matter of fact, we brought a lot of that shit from West Africa with us. How to smelt iron ore and all of that shit. Cultivating the land and all of that stuff like that. We knew how to do that. If you go back to your great-grandparents, right, they knew how to do that stuff. But just true now, we don't know how to do it no more. We lost all of that shit, man. Go ahead.
This is Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of Yahawah. I will also forget thy children.
Yeah, and that's why our people are destroyed, man. The foundation of understanding in our people is gone. Our people have no foundation, man. That's why our people go with any wind of doctrine, man, that allows them to continue in their confusion. The scriptures are solid foundation.
What does a solid foundation bring? It brings what? Stability.
Right.
Stable. Isaiah 30.